Good morning, it's Monday morning. I'm in the yard and rechecking today the interior. I've still got some yellowing down the bottom of that carpet that I really feel I want to revisit. But this morning I'm going to get the passenger side done. But while I'm waiting for said steamer to get up to temperature, I've masked the rear glass off because it's got quite bad contamination in it. I'm going to give it a polish. So I've gone around and masked the rubber seals up so that we don't get any compound in there that I'll have to clean up later. So it's easier to mask it off. So I'm going to polish the glass now, get that nice and clean. So by the time I've done this, the steamer will be ready to do the passenger compartment. So I'll see you a little bit later. Right, I just thought I'd show the rear window. I didn't film doing it because I've got Gary working right next to me. And I've used some medium cut polish. I didn't need cerium oxide. I've used the battery operated flex, whatever it is. You can see what it is. I can't read it. Anyway, I've give it a good polish now. I'm just going to clean it off with some window cleaner and just check that I've got all the staining out. And the steamer is very, very close now to being ready. So get this wiped down. Then I'm going to start the seats. I won't bother showing you the passenger side. You watch the driver's side being done. So I'll see you a little bit later. Right, I've just finished the passenger side of the interior, and as you can see, that's come up. Seats come up really well. Looks all lovely. And the rear. Now, I've had an issue with a stain that I've previously showed. Now this is basically it's moisturiser, and the constant shutting the door, the moisturiser has become part of the leather colour. It's gone really, really deep, and I've used everything in the arsenal to try and lift as much of it out as I could. I've even gone to the point of using the Furniture Clinic's Ultra Clean. Now, what'll happen if I keep rubbing it, it'll start fluffing up the leather. So I've removed as much of it as I dare because I don't want to start bleaching it. So unfortunately I can't remove everything, but I have got 80% of it out, so it doesn't look so bad. I'm not going to keep scrubbing it because it'll just lift the leather, it'll fluff it up, and basically I think the colour will still be there anyway. So I'm going to leave it at that. At least it's safe and I haven't damaged anything. As for the rest, it's come up really well, but I'm going to have another go at this on the driver's side because it's driving me insane that there's only that bit left, and I'm going to have another go at that. So as long as I get that out today, I feel like I've accomplished something. And then tomorrow I'll be starting, the interior's finished other than having another go at that carpet. So I'm going to leave this side at that. And, you know, I'm a bit disappointed I can't get it all out, but the trouble is with makeup, it does become part of the leather. It soaks in and it's really difficult to get out. So is sunscreen and stuff like that. So I'll leave it at that for now. I'm going to have another go at the carpet on the driver's side and see if I can get any more out. But for the interior, that's about it. So I'll see you on the next video. See you soon. Well, good morning. It's Tuesday, and yesterday I completed the interior. I had another go at the driver's side carpet to try and get his staining out, and to be fair, I think that's as much as I can get. You know, I've gone over it and over it and over it. The interior's come up really, really well. I'm really pleased with it, and that's looking good. There was an issue with some moisturiser or suntan cream or whatever in here, and you can see it's just slightly got a yellow tinge, but I've got 80% of it out. But that's about as much as I can get without fluffing up the leather. So I've masked the roof off. As you know, I cleaned the roof ready for recolouring, which will be done at a later date. So I've covered that because during the polishing there's a lot of dust. I wanted to keep that off there. The rear windows all clean. The side windows have still got to be done. Now the car hasn't got masses of bad damage. There is some marks around the bumper on the back, which I'll show you in more detail when we get there. But I want to send the car in the air, get the wheels off. But before I do that, I'm going to attend to the bonnet. Now, this is, you'll be able to see as I walk round, gets frostier and frostier, and you can see the bonnet's been repainted, and we have what looks like solvent pop everywhere. You can see in more detail as I go along the defects in the bonnet, and the finish of the bonnet isn't great. You know, considering that the rest of the car, you know, this is, you know, a lot better. It wants doing, but, you know, it's better than this. You know, the bonnet is, for all intents and purposes, I could end up having to wet flat it. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to mask the edges off. I'm going to hit this with a wool mop and see whether it will cut out or whether I need to flat it out. It's been repainted, as you can tell, and you know, the meters aren't really going to tell me exactly what the lack of depth is. So, you know, it's just one of them. I'll have to work it, have a look, and see what is the best for getting a lot of this out without flatting. If I have to flat it, I'll flat it, but we'll see. So I'm going to mask off the edges. There's a massive scratch. I'll show you when I get the light on it. There's a massive scratch in the bonnet. That needs to come out as well. But I've masked everything off that I don't want to mark, as usual, and I'm ready to go. So I'll give this a try and I'll see what happens. Okay, I'm now ready to do a test piece on the bonnet. I've got rotary machine with a lamb's wool cutting disc, and I'm using Menzerna heavy duty compound 400. I'm going to just do
a set here just to see if I can take out this solvent pop to decide whether I need to flat it or whether I can cut it out. So here we go. Of course, I'm standing behind the machine and I can already tell there's an improvement. We just need to see whether it's enough. I think I better bring the camera round and let you have a look for yourselves. Just bear with me a second. Right, I've just finished that set, and it is only the first set, a couple of minutes, and it still needs a lot more, but already I can see that we're cutting the pop down. Let's see if I can show the difference. That's where I haven't done, and this is where the set's just been done. There's still more to get down, but this is I'll see if I can blow it up. It's already a vast improvement over that. You can see the difference in the grain. If I come back down, and that's really just after a test piece. So I now know that I can get the solvent pop down without flatting, so I'm going to continue over the bonnet, doing exactly the same thing, and once I've got the pop down with the first cutting stage, I can then start refining the gloss and the depth into it. But you can clearly see, I'll move the light about and expand it a bit. you can see the sort of grain that we're working with. There's also a big scratch here somewhere that runs across the bonnet, but I'm going to go over all the bonnet now. You know, it's going to be a couple of hours work, I suppose, and then we'll have a look after it's cut. So I'll see you in a couple of hours. Well, I've just finished the first cutting of the bonnet and pretty much removed most or all the signs of the solvent pop. Now what we're left with is, from using a coarse wool, we're now left with all these holograms, which I'm going to take care of now in the second stage of the polishing. So I'm going to use a medium cut polish next on an orbital and start refining all these marks out of it, but the bonnet looks a million times better already. So let's refine it and see what we can do with getting some depth and gloss back. I'm pleased. Right, I'll crack on and I'll show you after the second stages. Give me 5 minutes and I'll explain what you've just been watching. Yeah, you've just saw a short video of me in the second stages of polishing this bonnet. Now, the eagle-eyed, and this information is probably more for the beginner detailer than it is for the experienced detailer, but you'll see me tape up the edges of the bonnet all the way around. Now, primarily it's to protect the edges of the paint, but the other reason that I do it is when I look round the car, we all know this bonnet was painted and we all know it was all frosty, but there's enough paint on it for me to take the frost out. But where the tape lines were, imagine the tape run over the edge of the bonnet and the edge of the wing. But I was taking in consideration when I was cutting this bonnet, I stayed away really from about here. The tape is here, and I only lightly flicked on to these edges. The reason being, I looked at the finish of the wing and I wanted to have a transition of light that looked the same as the wing. We know that it's been painted, but by the reflection, I didn't want anybody else to be able to tell that it's been painted. So while I've been cutting, I've consciously left a lot of this edge as it was. I've took the pop out, but it wasn't as bad at the edges. But on the second stage, which you've just watched, what I've been doing is taking the wing off at the same time as the edge. So now, when you look at the light transition, wherever you look at it on the car, the light transition between the bonnet and the wing looks the same. There is no difference. If I'd have took all this down till it was smooth and like glass and a dead straight line of light there, I'd have had to do exactly the same on the wings. But the wings don't need as much work as the bonnet did. So thinking about all these things before you start polishing enables you to give you a finish that you can see the light transition wherever you look looks exactly the same. Yes, it's a little bit more orange peely here, but the wings orange peely there. So it just matches exactly. So what I could have done, I mean, if I'd have wet flatted the bonnet and gone to the edge, which I wouldn't have done anyway, because you've all seen me wet flat and tape off the edges, I'd have still been able to get the same sort of finish and transition, but I probably would have had to tape more off the wing. So if you think about the job before you start, how you want it to look after, yes, I could have got this a lot flatter, but we'd have had to get the rest of the car flatter. Whereas we've got a superb finish. I mean, this has got to have a finishing stage yet. But I'll do exactly the same when I do the finishing. Now, after the second stage, this is what it looks like. Now, the reason it looks this good now is because I've used a Maguire's finishing pad with Menzana 2500 medium cut, and it's give it a really good finish. All I need to do now is just lift it that little bit more so it looks little bit sharper. But other than that, the bonnet now looks like it matches the rest of the car, minus the lacquer pop. So although, you know, it's took some time extra to do this, it's the thinking before you start polishing that enables you to get a better match from a painted panel to the original. So I'm well pleased. I've just got to go over it now with a black pad and just lift it that little bit more, but it does look the dogs. But these are tips for the new detailers that, you know, coming into the business, and, you know, it enables you to, you know, manipulate the way you work so that you don't end up having to do loads more polishing on the other panels to make it match the panels that you've had to do a lot of work on. Think about it first, and obviously if there was damage that I'd have had to gone right to the edges of the bonnet, then it's a different matter. You know, there's lots of factors, but you have to look at the car first and see. You know, this you know, I've been doing this years and years, and it's just a natural thing now that you just look at it and think, can I match that finish? How far have I got to go? Will I have to go further? I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't have known to start with the amount of solvent pop this had, that I didn't have to go further. Now, if I had gone further, I'd have had to do the edges of the wings a little bit further just to match the light transition. So think about your job. It'll come natural in the end, but these are the things I think that, you know, make a job, is the thought that goes into what you're doing. You know, I mean, it's chalk and cheese to what the bonnet looked like when it came in, and now, you know, an experienced painter would know this has been painted, but the general public or the owner wouldn't. You know, he knew the bonnet had been painted, but if you sold this car on, you know, they wouldn't see any difference to make them look. So all I'm saying is try and think about what you want to do, what you want to achieve, and the best way of achieving it. Always protect your edges when you're doing a lot of heavy cutting, especially with wall pads, because you are going to end up going through. If you don't go through the bonnet line, you'll go through the wing line. You know, it's you know, I've done it myself years and years ago, and I still protect myself now, because these are expensive cars that I work on, and to get them repainted, you're looking at £1,000 job for a bonnet. So if you go through and you've got to have it painted, it comes out of your pocket. And as you know, we don't earn that much to be able to soak up £1,000 worth of giving it away, just because we've created the damage. So there we have it. I'm just going to finish off this bonnet now with a final stage, and I've been on this 3.5 hours so far, and I've probably got another half an hour to finish it. So it's took the best part of a day, but it's changed the total look of the car now. You know, you know, this panel let the car down, and it doesn't anymore. So there we have it. I'll see you on the next one. Sorry if I've bored some of you with that, but, you know, trying to show, you know, the thought that goes into these things. We're not just throwing a polish around. You know, it's a little bit of skill and intelligence and common sense. So there you have it. I'll see you later. Before I go any further than the bonnet, I'm going to have a look at this PPF. Now, let's get a light. Might be easier to show, but you can see the PPF is in quite bad shape on this nose of this front panel. Now what I'm going to do first, I've just wiped it all down with panel wipe so I can see what I'm playing with. You can see there's scratches all over it. Yeah, we've got a few stone chips in it, but that's what it's there for, to protect. Now, if it's one of the newer quality PPFs, if I warm it up, a lot of these scratches should disappear. So next on the agenda is to get the heat gun out and see if it works. If it doesn't, it means it's the old style PPF, and there's not a terrific amount I can do to improve it, although I'll still polish it, but we'll have to see. But as you can see, there's, you know, it's badly scratched. Be nice if they came out. I'm not holding my breath though, but we'll have a go. If it works, I'll show you. Right, just having a closer look at these scratches. They've not come out with the heat gun, so it's just a generic PPF that's been put on. So I've now removed the number plate and surround, and I'm going to try and polish some of them out. How successful this is going to be, I don't know, but we're going to try. So I'm going to have a go at it, and I'll show you any of the results if they're worth looking at. I'll show you anyway. Now I'm going to use the wool on a rotary. I'm going to be quite vicious with it. It is plastic at the end of the day, but you know, I am going to have to be aggressive to try and remove some of this. Right, I'll see you later. Well, we're having a little bit of success with polishing this PPF. Not getting everything out of it, but it's certainly glossing it up, and it certainly got rid of some of the marks. So I'll get the light out and I'll show the difference. So I'll be back with you in a minute. Right, well, this is really what we've started with these scratches everywhere, and as I showed you earlier. And then this is the area that I'm cutting now, and as you can see, there are a couple of faint ones left. But overall, I mean, this is with an heavy cut paste, so it'll have to be refined, because you can see the flare off it. But at the moment, while cutting, and then we come over to where I haven't done yet. So it is making a difference, and it's glossed it up. You know, this is really lackluster, this side. And that's starting to get some nice gloss, so it is coming up better. So I'm just going to crack on with this then. I'll see you later.